How's it going, everyone? Tugi here, back again with some more NHL 16 and my Boston Bruins GM mode. Now in this video, we will be going up to the trade deadline, and as you can see, it is 30 days away in the bottom right-hand corner. 30 days away. So here's the deal. With the new playoff format in the NHL, we are currently out of a playoff spot. As you can see, the top three, Detroit, Tampa, and Ottawa, with Montreal at 58, Florida at 53. We take a look at the Metro, 55 points for Columbus. So it's Montreal and Columbus currently in the two wildcard spots, meaning we are only 4 points back of a playoff spot, just 4 points back of the Blue Jackets. So as you can see, March 1st is deadline day. We also have a game against Calgary. However, because there was no trade deadline day like there used to be on the 360 versions of the game, unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe there is one, our cutoff date is going to be Thursday the 25th. Meaning, if we are a playoff team, from that day I'm going to go all out. I'm going to potentially sign a free agent or two and make a couple of trades. If we are not a playoff team on that day, I'm having a complete fire sale for the most part. Chara might go, Seidenberg, Krejci. The only people who are really safe will be Tuukka Rask and Patrice Bergeron. However, there may be a hang-up in terms of trading Chara. As you can see, he is out with a herniated disc until April 19th, well beyond the deadline. He might not actually be available to trade, so we might have to hold on to him. So really, fingers crossed we are a playoff team come the 25th. That way we can add to our team, and then once we get Chara back, I'm pretty sure it won't be until the first round of the playoffs. Once we get Chara back, we'll be an even bigger, better, badder team to hopefully make that Stanley Cup run. Before we get into the sim, we have two players we have to look at, and we have to recap a couple of trades we missed while simming in the last couple of episodes. As you can see, the first player we are going to take a look at is Connor McDavid. He started at a 78 overall. He's already up to an 83, still designated as a third-line scoring forward. You can take a look. His offensive category, shooting, puck skills, skating, is out of this world. The only thing really holding him back is physical and defense, but that will come with time. He's having a decent season point-wise with 25 points in 50 games. Of course, his big competition is Jack Eichel, and as you can see, while he only has 15 points in the same amount of games, look at his progression. Both Eichel and McDavid started at 78 overalls. Jack Eichel already up to an 87 overall. First line designated forward. Take a look at those puck skills, the skating category, absolutely out of this world. Jack Eichel is going to be a monster in this career mode series for years to come. However, looking at the Edmonton Oilers, and this is where the trade talk comes through, because the Edmonton Oilers have made a trade with the Vancouver Canucks, and Vancouver fans, you might not like where this is heading. Ryan Miller is an Edmonton Oilers. So at this point, Eddie Lack, Corey Schneider, Roberto Luongo, Ryan Miller are all out of Vancouver. But the Canucks were not done there. They also made a deal with the Dallas Stars. And as you can see, a certain goalie is missing from the Dallas Stars. And that is because Kari Lehtinen has been traded to the Vancouver Canucks for Daniel Sedin. Daniel Sedin, now a Dallas Star. As you can see, he's having a very good season. Henrik is still a Canuck for now, but really Vancouver has been in fire sale mode. Dan Hamhuis is on the trade block for them. I don't think they're done. I don't even think they're doing too bad that season, but they are in fire sale mode. Daniel Sedin is now a Dallas Star. So here we go. We have 3 games we're going to sim. We're going to sim 1 week up until February 7th. Then we'll actually take a look around the league, see if any more trades have occurred. We have games against Toronto and 2 against Buffalo, both divisional rivals, both big-time games. Let's see what happens. This first game against Toronto, a little bit nervous, and it's a 5-0 blowout win. A game against Jack Eichel and the Sabres, we lose 4-1. And the second game, we get a big shootout win, 2-1. And unfortunately, we do get an injury to Brad Marchand. He will be healthy later on in this week on the 12th, so that's not too bad. We will edit the lines really quick, take a look at the trades, and then go back and sim this Western Conference road trip. Moving ahead now with this 3-game Western road trip, no other trades have been done. We're going to sim up to this Detroit game, but looking ahead here, LA not doing too hot, Winnipeg not doing too hot, but Minnesota and Detroit are on absolute fire. Let's see what happens in these 3 games. Again, we do have some injuries we're dealing with. This LA game makes me a little bit nervous. We actually get a trade offer, and this is really interesting. Wow, this is, you know what? I wasn't going to take a look at this. We might have to. Holy shit. Alright, so this is interesting. Louis Eriksson obviously only has 1 year left. Taking a look at what he has done this season, he does have 30 points. He's a -8. Not the greatest season, but 30 points is a pretty hefty contribution for such a young team. They want our 3rd round pick from this season, and Matt Irwin, who is also under a 1 year deal expiring coming up, when I actually don't think we would be re-signing him. He's having a decent year, obviously a much better year in the game than he has in real life thus far. So that's a tough choice, because I honestly don't know if we're going to be able to re-sign Louis Eriksson. I think this might be a mistake, but guys, we are going to decline this trade. I want to see, before we get rid of Louis Eriksson, if we're a playoff team, we're going to need him. If not, then I am going to regret not taking that trade. We actually lose 6-3 to LA anyways, so it's not really like they needed the offensive boost. We're actually going to sit Brad Marchand for this Winnipeg game and just go through with it. Actually, Matt Bolesky has returned to the lineup, and we are over limit, so I will edit our rosters, and then we'll sim these last 2 games. We actually get another quick offer from Carolina. 2 4th round picks from Matt Bolesky, which we are absolutely not going to do. Simming this game now against Winnipeg, we get a nice 3-1 victory. We actually get another trade offer. Again, LA pressing for that Louis Eriksson deal. Again, we are going to decline the big game against Minnesota, and we get a shock 4-3 victory. So not too bad. We are pushing towards the 30 win mark, which would actually be really nice to get before we make this big decision. We have 6 games to go before I decide what we are going to do. We'll take a quick look, see if any of the trades have gone through, and actually a couple have gone through, and there have been some big ones. Winnipeg have acquired a 1st, a 3rd, and Stéphane Fournier from Montreal for Andrew Ladd. A gigantic trade for the Canadiens. Detroit has acquired Michael Grabner from Toronto for a 2nd round pick, and Merrick Turvden, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce that name. And then the big trade that grabbed my eye, Winnipeg have acquired a 1st round pick, Gabriel Beaupre and Muirs from Colorado for Dustin Byfuglien and Matt Halischuk. Big Buff, a potential target of mine if we were going to be a playoff team, is now a member of the Colorado Avalanche. And we have another big trade. The New York Islanders have acquired Patrick Marleau from San Jose for Joshua Ho-Sang, Sebastian Karlberg, and a defenseman, Hansen. A gigantic set of trades there. Patrick Marleau, Dustin Byfuglien, Andrew Ladd, all on the move. And honestly, this my self-imposed deadline of the 25th cannot come soon enough. We need to see where we are before we miss out on all of these big deals. We suffer a shootout loss to Detroit, but that's not too bad, taking 3 points out of 4 from 2 great teams. We have a game now coming up against the Blue Jackets, and it's a big 6-0 win. A game against Nashville, a 3-1 loss, and we get another offer for Louis Eriksson. Now again, I don't know where we stand. I'm going to decline this, and hopefully if we do decide to blow this team up and we're not in a playoff spot, LA comes knocking once again, because they will get Louis Eriksson. But here we go now, a big game against Dallas, who actually give us a trade offer before the game, a 3rd and a 7th for Matt Irwin, and I'm actually going to explore this deal. Let's take a look at Matt Irwin. He is up to an 82 overall, designated as a top 6 defenseman. You can see recent increases on wrist shot accuracy, acceleration, and defensive awareness. Again, 6 goals, 8 assists. He hasn't done much so far this season since we last looked at him, but this is an interesting offer. I'm actually going to take a look really quick. Let's look at who we have defensively who could potentially replace Matt Irwin. If there's really nobody, I don't know how much sense this trade would make. We have Chara, we have Krug, so really right now it would hurt us defensively. It would put Joe Morrow and Zach Trotman into the lineup, which is something I only want to do if we aren't in a playoff spot. We are going to once again decline this trade. We play Dallas, we lose in a shootout. Again, the LA Kings come knocking. We will decline them. We have 2 games, 4 days now before our self-imposed deadline. Let's take a look. We're not going to reach 30 wins, unfortunately, but let's take a look and see if there have been any other trades to go down. And there is another big one. As I said, Vancouver had Dan Hamhuis on the trade block. He has been sent to Anaheim for a first-round pick in defenseman Jacob Megna. So here we go. The last 2 games before my self-imposed deadline. We're not going to take a look at the standings. It's against Columbus and Pittsburgh, 2 in-conference teams. Let's see what happens. Will we blow this team up, or will we push for the playoffs? Game against Columbus, we get a trade offer from Washington. We're just going to decline it. Who the hell cares? We lose to Columbus 3-0 a week after destroying them 6-0. We actually get a Torrey Mitchell waiver claim, and I'm actually going to decline this. I would pick him up for the hell of it, but he has 3 years left on his deal, and I don't want to get stuck with that contract. We get an offer from New Jersey for Jake DeBrusk, who was a Bruins first-round pick this year. We're definitely not doing that. The game against Pittsburgh goes through, and we lose our last 4 games before hitting the self-imposed deadline. I honestly don't like our chances of being in a decent place here, which really sucks because I do want to pick up decent players, but if it's time to blow it up, it's time to blow it up. Let's take a look. We are 5 points back of the Canadiens, 68 points. Columbus also at 68 points. So we are 5 points out of a playoff spot as we approach the trade deadline. Before we do anything, I'm going to sim this next game against Carolina. We're going to push the deadline, self-imposed deadline, to the 27th. If we lose this game to Carolina, we sell. If we win this game, we buy. Let's see what happens. It all comes down to this game. I want to see Carolina are pretty much dead even with us in points, and they actually offer us a deal for Zach Rinaldo, which, you know what? We're actually going to take a look at this really quick. 2 4th-round picks for Zach Rinaldo. That's actually not too bad of a deal. He is on actually making good progress this year. 78 overall. He is a 4th-line guy. 2 4th-round picks for Zach Rinaldo. The odds that either 4th-round pick can provide more than 8 points in a season, or at least 8 points to this point of the season. When I started this series, the point of it was to rectify past mistakes, whether made by Chiarelli management or even currently under Don Sweeney management. And while Zach Rinaldo's done all right for us this season, we are going to accept this deal and let Carolina take him. We're getting 2 4th-round picks. Let's do it. Zach Rinaldo is off to Carolina. A couple of players not too happy about it. A couple players are, apparently. But let's see what happens. We will fix the rosters and then sim this game against Carolina. The season and the future of this team will be decided. So here we go, Carolina, and we lose it 5-3. And that's honestly not what that. Wow, that's not what I was expecting. That's not what I was hoping for. But this team has decided its own fate. We lose 5 straight games heading into the deadline. Obviously, we have 1 more game against Tampa. I hate to do this, guys, but we are going to blow this team up. So here's the deal. This game just made a liar out of me. I've spent literally the last 45 minutes trying to find somebody, anybody, any team to work with to sell some of my better players and to really just, blow this team up. I can't do it. There are too many teams in the playoff race that are strictly buyers trying to get better that I have nobody to work with. So by default, considering we are still only 5 points out of a wild card spot, fuck it. Let's go for it. Let's see what we can do. We are going to do a bit of a retooling, though. We are going to try and get rid of Chris Kelly and Joonas Kemppainen. I will show you why. Our centers right now are doing incredibly well. Obviously at the top we have Bergeron and Krejci, but there you can see Ryan Spooner only a point back of Kelly. Kokochev's actually better than Kemppainen, and Austin Czarnik is making incredible progress. So really it makes no sense to have these 2 guys, and perhaps we can pick up a veteran or 2 with this deal. We're first going to look for Arizona. As you can see, they are selling right now, one of the few teams that are selling. Let's see if there is anybody we can get for cheap. Shane Doan actually might be an option, I'm not sure, but as you can see, this team is stacked for the future. Brendan Perlini, Max Domi, Dylan Strome, Duclair, Reeder, Merkley, they are absolutely stacked for the future. But taking a look here, we have guys like Shane Doan, Michael Bodker on the block. Is there anybody else? We have Plashta, but he is a prospect. Steve Downey as well, and definitely we're not getting John Scott or Steve Downey. I hope Steve Downey still can't step foot in Boston. So really, do we overextend for Michael Bodker, or do we go for Shane Doan? Michael Bodker has 1 year left, as does Shane Doan. Bodker actually has less of a cap hit. I'm not sure if we would be able to keep Bodker, though. This is interesting. If we put Michael Bodker, obviously the bar is a little bit bigger, and they still need players, but maybe, just maybe, we should go after Michael Bodker and Shane Doan. Both are under 1 year deals. It would be a rental. Obviously the bar is much bigger in their favor. However, we have a myriad of first round picks, and I will show you. So, time for an awkward interruption. Now in the background, you're going to see me put together this trade. Unfortunately, I lost the audio that goes along with this, where I kind of explain what I'm looking for and how I'm trying to put together this deal. Anyway, I wanted to further explain, and perhaps better explain, why I couldn't necessarily blow this team up. A lot of teams were looking to improve, however the prospects they were willing to give away were just terrible, and it would have been nowhere near equal value. The majority of the return would have had to have been draft picks. Now, I'm not sure when, but if you take a different look at throughout this trade process, you will see the Bruins have a ton of draft picks to start. Of course, we already got the extra draft picks from the Ronaldo deal as well. So really, it wasn't what I was looking for. Now, I could have taken the draft picks and, you know, actually gotten the players and then turned those prospects down the line into potential big acquisitions down the road, but I didn't want to do that. I figured, why not? We're only 5 games out. Let's just put this team together, just make these big deals, and if it fails, then we'll blow it up in the in the postseason around the draft. So rather than just taking, like I said, the majority of draft picks, I could have gotten prospects that were bottom 6 forward with low potential at best. That's what most of these teams were willing to give up. And the fact is, a lot of trade values didn't really equal out. I tried trading Chris Kelly for a bottom 6 projected forward on Calgary, Bryce Van Brabant, and they wouldn't even listen to me after offering it. But as you can see, this deal with Arizona is coming together. Definitely what I felt to be a necessary deal. But again, I just wanted to take this time to explain why I had to essentially had to go and just do a complete 180 on what I was planning to do. And again, we will blow this team up. Yeah, voice crack, we'll leave it in. We will blow this team up if necessary. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully this deal I put together here, and maybe 1 or 2 deals that come after this, hopefully that puts this team over the edge, but I'm not quite sure. But as you can see, we are just about to finish this deal off. Chris Kelly, Jonas Kemppainen, and 2 picks from Michael Bodker, Shane Doan, Dustin Jeffrey, and Corey Potter. And it goes through. All the roster moves done and taken care of. But a big time trade for this team. Pretty much everyone involved on 1 year deals, so it doesn't really affect the cap situation too much, as we do have some upcoming free agents. But that's our big first deal. I'll get us back now to the normal part of this video as we look to potentially make a second trade. The second trade we are going to look to make is Jonas Gustafsson and Jeremy Smith, trying to get them out of here. Zane McIntyre and Malcolm Subban are both pressing to become the backup next year, but for now, neither man has done a good enough job being the backup, so we're going to look to get James Reimer from Toronto. Again, he only has 1 year left. Let's see if it goes through. It has actually been rejected. They're not too happy about it, but again, I'm going to press hard here to get James Reimer. Malcolm Subban and Zane McIntyre, again, both really pressing to become the starter next season, but neither man is ready now, and if we're going to make a playoff push, we're going to need a better backup just in case, because neither of those two men, Smith or Gustafsson, is good enough to push us over the line now. As you can see, Toronto really looking for prospects, and I'm actually going to try and tack on Johansson here. Not really projected to be too much, although Toronto would have too many people in the organization, so never mind, discard that. We'll go take a look at draft picks instead to see if there's anybody they want, and they do want some draft picks. I don't know if I want to tack on a third-round pick or a second-round pick. I will tack on this third-round pick, 2018, a few years down the line. Let's see what they say. Obviously, the value is well in our favor at this point. I'm not too concerned about late picks coming up in future drafts. Really, it's only this draft that matters, and then, of course, the prospect pool falls off. So Jonas Gustafsson and Jeremy Smith, along with a third-round pick 2 years from now for James Reimer, and it has been accepted. So thank you once again for a goalie, Toronto. Enjoy Jonas Gustafsson and that third-round pick, which, watch, it'll be a magnificent turn of events. That third-round pick will turn into the next Gretzky. But for now, we have a better backup goalie. We have James Reimer. And a last-minute deal here that we have put together. It hurt a little bit to do this, but we're going to overextend just a little bit. Justin Hickman, potentially a bottom six forward, a decent prospect, and Gabrielle, a little bit overrated by EA, for Mark Stewart and a third-round pick from the Montreal Canadiens. Obviously, it goes through a little bit worrying to pick up Stewart's deal, as it is 3 years, but regardless, once again, Mark Stewart is a Boston Bruin. So after those trades, we are going to go through and play the Calgary game as well. I didn't get you a look at the lineup before this game. We will do it after this game, as we just look to get past this and see what this new team can do. And we get the big win against Calgary. We also lose Brad Marchand for about a week, an unfortunate injury there. But again, we get off started on the right foot after these big deals. I'll get you a quick look at the lineup, and then we'll end this episode. So all in the background, you see me putting this team together. Obviously, we don't have Brad Marchand, but I do really love these lines after the trades. Top line, Bodker, Bergeron, and Pasternak. Second line of Eriksson, Krejci, Connolly. Third line, Bolesky, Spooner, and Jimmy Hayes. Fourth line, Shane Doan, Alex Kovalchev, and Max Talbot. And obviously on defense, we have Stewart playing with McQuaid. But that is it for this episode, guys. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the moves I made? Should I have done something differently? Should I aim to get other players in the offseason? And how do you think this team will do? Can this team make a run? Again, I was going to blow it up. That didn't quite work out. The right circumstances weren't there. But can this team make a run? I do believe we're still only 5 points back of a playoff spot. It is still very possible, especially with some of the new offensive firepower, mainly in Michael Bodker. Now, if we can just get people to stay healthy, mainly Seidenberg and Chara, I do have a feeling we are going to be able to make a run. But for now, that is it. Leave a like down below if you've enjoyed this episode. Subscribe if you feel so inclined. Share with your friends and whoever else you want to. And I will see you guys next time.